Okay. Rapid application of development, if I can actually speak today. Lesson 7 with QuickTime. And what we're going to talk about today is a bunch of stuff like we said. First thing we're talking about is assignment number 3, a little bit of when it's due. Right now we're sitting at pretty much tomorrow, like November 1st, so in a couple of weeks, and usually your assignments are structured so that you get a couple of weeks to do them all. This one here, assignment number 3, the advantages are, again, you're doing a multi-form project, so I'm going to go over multi-form again with you guys in more detail today. And I've got another special presentation, like I said, that will supplement and give you a lot of the methodology that I'm looking for this one. Okay? So really what you're doing is you're almost like simulating this streaming service called Movie Bonanza. I mean, you could call it whatever you like. Again, when I give you these assignments, I ask for the minimum requirements. So this is the minimum stuff that I'm looking for when you're putting things together, right? Now, please make sure you satisfy my minimums, and then what you can do is you can add to them as you see fit if you have time, right? Okay, so the user will select the movie from a drop-down list. Seems pretty easy. The selected movie will display its category and the cost to stream the movie in separate labels. Okay. The application will then calculate the cost of the movie, including taxes, in a separate form, and then the cost will vary according to the category of the movie as shown below. I'm giving you some examples, right? And if you notice, there's a little bit of a list. So just in case you have no idea how to put together movies and stuff, you know, imagine this is like something Netflix or something like that you've got going on instead of this kind of category. Obviously, we don't have any kind of connection to the internet going on here, and the prices are out of whack, right? But in general, this is how the old-style video store would work, right? You go and find a new release or whatever, and then you download it or you watch it. I mean, you rent it. So the cost will vary according to the category. The user will be given the option to buy the movie and have a DVD copy sent to him for an additional charge of $10, including shipping, right? So that's not bad. So this is kind of your movie, your categories, and then your movie and categories are separated into kind of these different columns. You'll also have an example here on the right of your menu. So you got a file, print, stream, cancel, and so on. These are the menus that I'd ask you to put together for your application. Let's take a look. So your app should contain 3 forms, minimum. A selection form where the user selects the movie, right? So an order form where the user is shown the cost of the movie, and a stream form where the user is notified that his credit card has been charged and the video streaming is about to begin, right? So 20 marks for functionality, 25 marks for GUI, 5 marks for internal documentation, and 5 marks for external like we normally have it. There's nothing for version control that I mentioned explicitly, so even though I would recommend, again, that you use GitHub for your version control so you don't lose your work when you're working. The selection form, you're going to ask to be creating a splash screen. So there's something hidden right there. If you don't know how to create a splash screen, again, I say minimum of 3 seconds. You can make it longer. It's 1 mark for GUI, 1 mark for functionality. We're going to talk about splash screens a little bit more closely today as well, very quickly anyway. Add a drop-down list that displays a list of movies available to stream as shown in the above chart. Now you can add, change, you know, and so on. That's fine. Set the sorted property to true. So it means when you're looking through, you're going to actually see a sorted list of movies instead of not a sorted list, right? And a group box to the form. The text of the group box will be your selection. The movie's title, category, cost will display in 3 text boxes and so on. And inside the group box, the text box will be set to read only, right? So you can't modify the list. You can't modify what you see. And then a picture box will be attached to the group box, and it'll display a small graphic of the movie that is selected. And again, I said all graphics are provided with the assignment, but I really didn't this time around. I said, you know what? Go and find your own. If you want to grab, you know, they can probably find a lot of the images online. My graphics were a little larger last time, so when I uploaded the assignment, they were huge, right? So. And, I mean, I provided, 10 or 15 of them. Store the user selection, including the movie title, category, and cost in an array, right? 2 marks functionality. Add a next button that takes the user to the order form and hides selection form. This option will be grayed out or disabled until the user has selected a movie from the drop-down list. Set the control box, maximize box, minimize box, and show icon properties of the form to false, which means there's not going to be any of those things. You're not going to have a control box at all. And then your order form. You're going to have a menu strip, as shown above. Add a cancel button to the form so you can cancel your selection, right? Add a stream button to the form so you can stream from there or from the menu. It says they're going to use a shared event procedure or a shared event handler, if you will, for streaming, the stream button and the actual stream menu selection. And the same thing with the print menu selection and the print preview of the order form. They're going to kind of, if there's two buttons, so if you're going to put more than one button, I want all the event handlers on this assignment to be shared. I don't want you to make different event handlers. You'll lose marks for that. And otherwise, if you keep reading, I'm not going to go through every little thing. It looks like it's easy. The challenge is passing data from A to B to C, right? And which you guys had some trouble doing on the exam. And that's why when I made the exam, I knew this was coming, right? So I said, this is a good precursor. Because if you didn't do well on the exam, that's the way I look at it, right? This is a chance to make it up, right? It's a makeup. This is really a makeup assignment for some of you. Some of you will sit there and go, okay, so it's kind of the same stuff you've asked for the exam. Yes, in a different scope. I haven't given you any of the forms. The exam, you've got a couple of forms and a couple of the way I looked at it. And if you notice, I don't even have, unless I go scroll down here, stream form is pretty simple. Let me go through this for a second. Add an OK button. This is almost like it could be a modal form if you think about it. It doesn't have to be necessarily this stream form. It doesn't have to be like a modeless form, right, where you kind of go to the next form. You could just have it almost like a pop-up, a custom message box, if you will, right? So depending on how you visualize your application. Internal and external documentation is the same. And here's some examples, for selection form and order form and so on. And again, stream form, if you notice, looks like a message box, right? Please don't use a message box. I'm asking you to make something custom like this, right? Some people have, in the past, have put together a message box. It's big marks lost, right? So don't do that. And I'm asking for this because sometimes you need customization with your messages and your kind of message box that you create with a form, right? So again, this is a chance for you to make up some of your marks. Some people who didn't do well in the exam, marks are pretty much kind of separated down here. Very straightforward. 15%. Your exam was with 20. So chances are, if you add extras, to this one, and there's lots of opportunities for this. For example, let's say, you're doing this assignment number 3, and you want to, instead of, you want to connect to a database. I haven't talked about databases, but it makes sense that you add it to a database, something like that. Then yes, you get bonuses. Please, again, when you do any kind of bonus work, let me know in your documentation or in your submission, or else I don't, it's hard. I'm looking at 25 or 30 different people going through the list, and then, I might miss something. And this is why I told you I have to, when I do some marking, I kind of absorb what everyone's doing. And they go, oh, yeah, I got to give it to John Luke or, Kevin. I got to subtract the mark from Kevin and give it to John Luke, right? Because, it's the way it is, right? Because these guys are like, Siskel and Ebert up here. Anyways, but at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for you guys to make up the marks, and also practice again multi-form stuff, which I'm going to go over again today in more detail, because it's critical that you guys get this kind of stuff. Because if you make an installer, one day, it might be stupid what I'm saying, but you might just be making an installer, man, right? Or some kind of application that installs other applications, and if you don't know how to do multi-form, you're in trouble, right? I think I do more installers where, for people and different things like that, building batch files with an application UI than anything else, right? And if you don't know how to go from one form to the next, we've got trouble, right? So it's kind of a critical skill. Any questions around this thing? Okay, so there are some details. Please be careful. I know it sounds like there's not, but you're going to have questions. Please look over the requirements over the next week or so. And if you don't understand something, like if I've asked for something, you're like, do I really need to put this in? Ask me. Like next week, come to me with some questions and we'll go over it. It's pretty straightforward, and again, I've tried to break it down for you so to make it as easy and understandable as possible. All right. Let's stop.